We live.
We ready?
Definitely live right now, brother. It's kind of funny that we're doing a show on race and we starting late,
Right.
right? I don't know if we can call this one CP time though, bro. I think
This
we was
was
both early.
Yeah,
we was both early.
We was early.
We gonna blame the producers on this one, brother.
Yeah, we're gonna get our credit on this one.
Yeah. Hey man, so y'all tap in.
This was CP time, but it was clear people time.
Definitely. Definitely tap in. Y'all tap in. Let's see. So, bro,
Let's start looking in these groups.
you in the group? We live. You know they looking at you. Whoever on
we ready.
What's been going on, brother? I'm glad you were able to come through for me, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I couldn't miss this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this I caught a lot of heat this
Bro,
week, so
they freaking like crucified you, bro. Or at least tried, man.
Attempted.
It was like 50 on 1, bro.
Like and I would have thought based on the previous week's post, I'd have had a little more, a little more hands in the pot helping me, hold my arm up or something. But no,
man, they threw you you got thrown to the wolves, brother. And I mean, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
It was mostly black women.
Oh yeah, it always is.
So I mean, you know how they get.
Oh,
yeah. I love them to death, but you know how they get when they believe something, and there's no changing their mind.
Not even truth to change their mind.
Well, we're gonna get into that. So the topic of this show, how y'all doing, everybody? The topic of this show, this is the Dex X podcast. It's the first episode. I hope we didn't leave a bad first impression. We were supposed to start 40 minutes ago, but that's all right. We here. The topic of this show is: can you be pro-black in a interracial relationship? Can you be pro-black in an interracial relationship? Well, I want to start off the show first by telling you what my definition is of being pro-black. I think that will offer some clarity in the situation as far as how you respond and how you answer. The number is at the bottom, so feel free to call in. If you're watching now, please share this live. Give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. It's free. Support a black man. If you aren't a black person, support a black man because you feel like it's the right thing to do. But my definition of pro-black, TJ, is it's the supporting and the favoring of black people, for one. It's not blacks before everything, but it's putting blacks first. That's whether it's socially, whether it's economically, all of that, blacks must come first, right? And one of the most sensitive topics is the reason we have this show today is I think that the single most important value of being a pro-black person, especially a pro-black man, the single most important thing about being a pro-black man is the person you choose to be with. Meaning, the black woman is the most essential part to me of being a pro-black man. I think that if you choose a woman and if you call yourself pro-black, if you can't choose a black woman to devote your entire life to, we're talking about a black woman who is going to procreate and create black children for you, a black legacy. If you cannot dedicate your life to a black woman, then how pro-black are you really? Like, that is the single most important part. That's the backbone of pro-blackness, is the black woman. So from my perspective is, if you choose to date outside your race, you cannot be considered pro-black, but you can still be for blacks. You're not pro-black, you're for blacks. And that's my short spiel on that particular this particular subject as an opening. TJ, how you feel about what I just said?
So for me, pro-black encompasses a few specific dynamics. I think that it means that you encourage economic growth and the development of blacks.
Gotcha.
I think that it purposes to increase black wealth as well as the population around the world. promoting black people, encouraging black youth, uplifting blacks in America, and making it okay to be proud to be a black person.
Gotcha.
So in a short spiel, for me, being pro-black has absolutely nothing to do with the person that you choose to be with, because the single most important pro-black person, if you're black, or the single most important black person, would be yourself.
Gotcha.
And so choosing who is right for you and who is most right for you is the most pro-black thing that you can do, regardless of what the race of that other person is being.
Okay. Well, that's I like that response, but I will challenge you and ask you, do you feel that who you date is a reflection of your direct beliefs? Because from experience of seeing other people go through this same thing, I actually think it does. I think that black men, if you do choose to date outside your race, you got to give these women, whether it's a white woman, whether it's a Latino woman, whether it's a European, Asian woman, whatever that woman is, you got to give her more than just black dick, right? You have to give her black education. You have to make sure she understands the plight of the black people to the best of her ability, and it's not enough for a woman of another race to just be like, oh, I understand it was hard for you guys, and I know that things are not fair, and blah, blah. It's not enough for her to just say that, but she has to be willing to give up some of her white privilege, her Latino privilege, or Asian privilege. She has to be willing to give up a piece of that in order to uplift that black man and to actually dive into what he's actually feeling and trying to grasp a deeper understanding of it. Like, it's way deeper than that. I'm not saying that it cannot be accomplished, but I'm saying it's more than just surface level. Oh, I like black men, and though I can't understand what he's going through directly, I get it. No. You have to educate yourself. If you're a woman of another race, you have to educate yourself. You have to try to grasp the incomplete concept of that black man and his struggles and what he's going through.
I agree. Now, the question was whether or not who we date is then
A reflection of your beliefs.
Of our beliefs. So, absolutely. Everything that you do in life is a reflection of your beliefs. Every single thing. But since, for me, being pro-black doesn't mean that the person that I choose to be with has to be black, only that the person that I choose to be with has to be what's best for me as a black man, then who I date can certainly be of another race. And I totally agree. I was listening to a podcast earlier about this topic, and that was one of the main statements that the women made, was that the relationship, the context of the relationship, had to be more than about getting, the great sex from the black man that's, talked about, right? Mm-hmm. We have to be more than a fetish for you, right? And in retrospect, the white woman or white man or Latino man or woman, whoever, they have to be more than a fetish for the person that you're dating. So, they have to be more than a fetish for the person who's choosing to date them. Now, I do want to take time to acknowledge there are the anomalies, right? So, yes, there is the person who is out there that's like, oh my God, I just want to date blacks because blacks are better than everybody else. Or, oh my God, I just want to date whites because I want to get back at the slave master who enslaved my ancestors. So I want to do all kind of things to, his generational grandkids. We get that those things exist, right? But hopefully we're surrounding ourselves with positive influences, regardless of their color, people of more context, people whose mind frame goes beyond sex in the first place, gotcha. Right? People who we associate with that have deeper values and want something more out of life than just the next climax.
Gotcha.
So then if we've surrounded ourselves by those people, then our beliefs should be reflective of that as well. So then a person's assumption of our interracial relationship should never be that of a fetish.
Okay, so something you said, I don't want to misquote you, but I'm kind of honed in when you said that. You said actually the black man choosing something that is better for him as a black man in particular when it comes to himself.
Right.
Which takes me back to the reason, like I have homeboys and I have people that I associate with that don't date black women, right?
Right.
And for the most part, it's because they feel like other women are the better alternative.
They can't be pro-black then.
Right. So I don't want to misconstrue what you said because all I heard when you said that what's best for that that white woman could be what's best for that black man in particular. All I heard is a slight to black women based on the premise that she can do something for him that a black woman couldn't.
And that's the reason why I didn't say preference of which race you may date. Just simply the being pro-black for me as a man and who I date is simply choosing the person that's best for me, regardless of what their race ends up being.
Gotcha.
And so for that reason, race can be excluded. Does it make it harder? Yes. Because it's hard to find a white woman or a white spouse or counterpart who understands your plight, who understands your struggle, who you don't have to educate. And then a lot of our black women or black men would say that we're so far behind, we don't have the time when trying to build a family that can impact the black community in a positive way. We don't have time to spend all this time trying to educate them on the history of the black person. But I'll challenge that thought process in that most times when you enter into a relationship with somebody who's interracially dating, you're not their first. And they didn't become pro your race the moment they started dating you. Gotcha. A lot of times there were other things that built up that changed, that literally just became preference. I mean, just like some people like white chocolate versus dark chocolate. I mean, that is a literal preference.
You're right.
That it just happens to be that some people, my wife is black.
Absolutely.
Black
a very
queen,
beautiful black woman.
Beautiful black woman, dark black, you know, love my black queen, shout out. Shekinah Howard, you know I love you. But for her preference, she didn't want a dark guy. She wanted a lighter guy. She calls me her white man. Because in her eyes, when she was thinking about what she wanted, what was best for her, what she was attracted to in all her life, you know, that was what caught her eye. It wasn't a thing for her as far as, you know, let me try to make life easier on my kids, or let me try to, you know, change some type of, I was listening to a podcast earlier that said that sometimes blacks date whites so that they can escape the reality when they go home.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
For Shekinah, there wasn't no escaping the black reality. It was 14 charges, 21 arrests when we got home. We had to face the black reality of the system that I had to fight.
Got you.
So there wasn't no escaping it, because, and that's a myth altogether. Because I'm light skinned, there's some type of escape. You know.
I have I didn't mean to cut you out, brother.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. 'Cause I don't want to ramble.
A perfect segue to this question. So do you feel like it is much harder for the black man to date interracially than the black woman? Because I feel that black men who date outside their race get a lot more flack than a black woman who choose to date outside of her race. So how do you, I'm not even going to go into my opinion on that. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to let you talk
honest.
on this.
So that one, I'll give my black woman 100% slack on that one. For them, I think that's 100% numbers. You have 9 women, I think, to every 1 male.
Okay.
So for them, if what they want is chocolate, then this chocolate person choosing a white woman has then now removed one of them from the dating pool, right? Because from a woman's perspective, there's already less men.
Right on.
So I get why there's more flack. And then also, because they outnumber us, we're going to hear their opinion more than we would hear black men. Typically, it's very rare a man in general comments on another man's relationship and what that man needed to find happiness or peace or success. Even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Most times a man will look at it, I wouldn't do it, and keep on going. Whereas the woman is gonna, girl, I know he ain't trying to say he pro-black with that white wife sitting on his arm.
What?
The nerve and the audacity of him.
What?
When that black man could have be, 100K invested into the community right now.
Well,
While that black man that you're saying, or that black woman that you're saying he should date, could have been, without being the right person for him, preventing him from having that same impact. Not because the other person was better or worse. I've dated 2 black women who had completely different impacts on my life.
Got you. Yeah, it's a lot of that going on. I think when most women, they see very successful, prominent black men dating outside their race, a lot of athletes do it. Jordan Peele, he's the famous director. He has a white wife, but he always put movies, pro-black, quote unquote, movies out. Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? You got the Donald Glovers of the world. He made that song. He does a lot of things. If you're familiar with Donald Glover, you know who I'm talking about. He does that song. It was a meme going around where he's holding a pistol behind the guy.
Yeah.
He did that very pro-black song, but he has a very white wife.
Yeah. He's also got a predominantly white audience.
Yeah. Winston Duke, the guy from Black Panther, the big swole black guy, the one that was with the one who fought. The one
from
who
the
fought
ice,
Black Panther. From the mountains.
Okay.
He has a white wife, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of sisters didn't like that. I mean, the list goes on, but then I like to jump to the women like Serena Williams, a prominent black woman.
Vice President-elect.
The epitome of what a sister would look like in Serena Williams. Like, when you think a sister, you think Serena Williams. She has a very white husband, right? You think Kamala Harris. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Kamala Harris.
I believe
she has a very, 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 very white husband. And this is a black woman, right? A black woman. If you think she's a black woman in a very prominent position that has a white husband on her side. Right. So it's 2 sides to that coin.
Yeah. I really believe that it is the newly woke black community,
and that's what
has the most problem with interracial dating, and it's because they lack the true meaning of pro-black versus Afrocentric versus black supremacy. See, I've heard people say, well, you made the statement earlier, because the black family is the nucleus, right? So that would be being most important. Then having the black woman will be most important, so she could give you black kids, to it. Right? But a white woman still gives you black kids.
That depends on what you believe genetically, actually.
No, because in the United States of America, that child comes out and is black. He will have to list black on the applications, credit, rental, college.
I'll raise you one. Your mother is white, correct?
Yep.
And your dad is black.
Yep.
So are you a white man?
No.
So how could it be possible that having a black mother with a white husband, you still be a black man?
Because in the United States, if you have more than 1/16 black in your DNA, you're a black. That is how they categorize your racial ethnicity in the United States of America, and that's the country we live in. And that's the other thing, is that our black community has to learn that. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to change the global black atmosphere, or are you trying to change the American black atmosphere? Because those are 2 very different things, and those are 2 very different playing fields that you have to go by.
Gotcha.
And then to piggyback on the point with the white wife, unless your goal is purity, racial purity, black supremacy, and unless your vice is colorism,
got you,
then the white woman still bears you that black king, that black queen.
Well, I think that let me get something very cleared up. Because my man TJ said this twice, right? Pro-blackness does not mean anti-white or black supremacy. It just means blacks first. And black people are the only race that exists that gets slighted or shamed for putting ourselves first.
Facts.
Every other race,
it's okay.
Every other race are socially, economically, religiously, segregated within their cultures, and that's fine.
On Lamar, there's a Chinatown.
Right, on Lamar, there's a Chinatown.
Ain't no black town.
There's no black town, right? So we have to get out of this mindset. That's the mindset I hate, man. We have to get out of that mindset, because if you go into every nail shop, there's all Korean people working there.
Yep.
If you go to all these corner stores, they hire Indians or Iranians. They're people. Right? That's what you see.
Yeah.
They're separated within their culture. Yeah. Black people are the only race that are put to shame for doing the exact same thing that every other race, white, yellow, green, orange, whatever other race you want to name, whatever color you want to name, they've been doing that.
Yeah.
So we have to get out of people saying that pro-black is black supremacy or it's anti-white.
Right.
It's not that. And if you don't understand that it's not that, and you're not of the black race, then you have no business dating a black man. Uh-oh. We got a phone call. What's up, man? Or lady or gentleman. This is the Dex X podcast. Speak your piece. Go ahead. Go ahead. You gonna talk? Are you talking? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Start over.
You hear me, brother?
I can hear you now, brother. Go ahead.
All right. Well, the only way us black people gonna get ahead, man, is letting other races, other cultures into our land, man. You want to separate us? I see you want to separate us, right? But I ain't with that. TJ, I see you in your face, man. You ain't with it either, man. Represent, man. Yeah, it is. Represent. Hold it down, brother.
We can't separate. We can't be.
I'm out, man. I'm out of here, man.
All right, Pierre. All right, Pierre. I appreciate you. I know that voice. He can't even disguise his voice.
He tried hard.
Yeah, he tried hard.
By the way, feel free to call in. We're taking callers.
Thank you.
We will, engage.
And if you're watching this live, please share.
And I do want to clarify. I know for a fact that Dex is not for black supremacy or colorism. That's why I wanted to make sure that we take time to educate when we are embracing a black man or a black woman in a conversation about community issues, that we take time to define terms that the rest of the world uses these terms for. We've grown up with this slang mentality.
Oh, we got another caller. I like it. This is Dex X Podcast. Go ahead.
What's up, man? It's the kid Rob from the Daily Dose Podcast.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, man, I just wanted to chime in real quick. Now, Dex, I'm on your side as far as the black woman is the backbone, the foundation to the black man and to the black family.
Yes,
I believe that's the most important thing that we need to uphold and cherish our women. But I don't think that if a man just decides to be with a woman outside of his race, that discriminates him from being pro-black. I believe you can do the two things simultaneously. But you can never keep it all the way 100% authentic if you are not dating a black woman. I do.
Yeah.
Relate with that.
Okay, bro. I appreciate that, bro. That's the perspective. I'm here to take perspective. There's no right or wrong answers. However anybody feels, I want to hear it. Let's get it in. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
So,
but just to clarify, so I know for a fact that you are not for black supremacy or colorism. So I think that it's important that we use the terms, because if we use the terms correctly, then it's easier to have the conversation. Because if we make statements like you can't date outside of your race if you're pro-black because you need to make sure that you're having black kids, then what it really sounds like you're saying is you don't like light-skinned black folks. And that black queen that she gives you, now you're no longer.
Hey, this is the Dex X Podcast. Speak your piece.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
Okay, what's up, man? Hey, Dex, what's up, Dex? CJ, what's up, man? It's Brian. It's Brian Quinn.
What's up, Quinn?
What's good?
What's good? What's up, man? Good to hear from y'all, man. I like this. However, I wanted to talk about earlier, what y'all talked about, but in regards to, because I got y'all playing on the background, it's kind of different, but how we are in jeopardy of losing out the actual black bloodline if you do mix a white woman, you know, in the actual whole bit, you know, the whole discussion. I mean, you know, in the whole ordeal. But yeah, we are in jeopardy of actually, you know, our actual bloodline species, the black bloodline losing out. So I just want y'all to talk more about that.
Okay, so I got a question. Why? Because B, you know, I got a question for you.
Hold on, I'm having a hard time. Let me turn this down. Let me turn down this back.
Okay.
The back. Okay, go ahead.
So my question is so then is a light-skinned black woman a black woman?
A light-skinned black woman's a black woman, sure.
Is a biracial black woman a black woman?
A black woman, sure.
So
if
then,
she's biracial, consider we're talking about if her mother is black or her mother's white and her father's black.
Either way, yeah, as long as
either way, she's black.
She's black. All right, now because she's biracial, her bloodline.
But that's the definition. That's the definition from the United States that that woman's considered black. I'm talking about the black woman and the black man. The black woman and the black man having.
So then, do you not consider that woman a black woman, a woman with biracial parents?
That's a tough question because
is she less than a black woman?
The reason why is because if you continue that, you will lose out on the 100% bloodline being black.
Let me say this:
after a while, there's going to be a percentage of this. There's going to be a percentage of that. You're not going to have a 100% black person.
I do not agree. I want to make that clear. I do not agree with that statement. Love you, B. I don't agree with that statement. Biracial black women, you're facing the same adversities. You're facing the same challenges. You're persecuted the same way. You have the same exact feelings. You have to wake up black too every single morning. And if a black king decides that he wants to take you and make you the woman who mothers his child, then the child that you birth him is still a black king or a black queen. And if we start talking dilution of bloodline, as far as which makes you better or worse, then that means that, you know, my man Dex X is a pure black man, and I'm a half breed over here. You know.
Well, I want to adjust. I'm sorry. I want to address Ra, the caller before him, about the black woman being the black backbone of pro-blackness. That is very true. And unless you are with a black woman, you cannot be pro-black. You can definitely be for black. When I say for black, that means the plight of black people, economically, socially, racially, everything. You can be exactly everything that pro-black man is being for his people. The exact same thing. But the only difference between you and him is he has a black woman and you have a woman of another race, which is fine. But the titles are different. He's a pro-black man and you're a for black man, and that's absolutely okay. I just want people to know that's the difference. And to get into what B was saying, I don't necessarily agree with TJ on what is and what isn't biracial considered black or whatever, because that's all that's an opinionated subject. Some people believe that whatever your dad is, that's your race. Some people believe whatever your mom is, that's your race. But I also think that these same technicalities are only used when it comes to seeing if you're black or not. Because I don't hear anybody saying, if that Korean man sleeps with that white woman, then she is definitely Korean.
But we're the ones that do that to each other.
But what I'm saying is I don't see that happening with any other culture. So I think that's just something that happens within our culture, black people. So we have to be cognizant of that and understand that that is a divide mechanism. See, that's a little deeper.
No, that's real.
That is definitely a mechanism to divide us as people.
That's
so real. I want y'all to understand that, because I absolutely believe that women who are mixed or men who are mixed with black are black people. I absolutely believe that. But I also believe that it's always up for debate because since when has anybody wanted to make black the dominant genes, like culture outside of our culture, right? So you're saying whatever blacks decide to mix with, don't matter what that is, they're automatically black because they are mixed with black? Because, like I said before, that's not the case with other races. When they talk about Koreans mixing with white, or Indians mixing with Koreans, or Caribbean people mixed, they don't do that with any other races. It's just us. I want black people to pay attention to that, because that is definitely a mechanism for dividing us.
For sure. I want to draw point to this. So we talk about being pro-black, right? So, and I want to ask you this question. So does pro-black consist of action or words?
Action.
Okay. So then if somebody economically... We'll come back to this point ain't going nowhere.
Nah, we're going to get to it. Yo, it's the XX Podcast.
Hey,
Can you speak your piece?
Serious call. It's a serious call this time.
All right.
So, my question for you, Mr. X, my man. So, I don't understand how us mixing our seed is used as a mechanism to divide us. Like, if we know that's used as a mechanism to divide us, why do we continue to do the light skin, right? The light skin versus dark skin, and also, I agree. I think me and TJ are on the same page when we both say that this is a conversation that really doesn't matter. If you got any kind of black inside you,
black.
You are predominantly black, right? That's it, right?
Because they gonna put you through the black fire for sure.
Yeah.
You ain't getting no loans. Your credit gonna be hard.
But could you explain to me, maybe break it down a little bit how?
I got you.
What do you mean when you say it's men as a divisive tool? Please, sir, my man. Shout out to the nation, man. You know why? What's up?
I got you, black man. Keep loving that. I got you.
All right. Yeah.
So I'll tell y'all a story. I got a black homeboy. He has a white wife, right? White wife. This is an alpha black male I'm talking about, and so I don't disagree with if one of your parents are black, you black, right? I don't disagree with that, right? But what I am saying is, in that story that I was going to tell you about my homeboy and his white wife, I've actually had the conversation with him as far as what your kids see at home is a black man loving a white woman. This is what they see. But they don't see race. They just see their mom looks like that. My dad looks like that. He loves my mom. I love him. He loves all of us. That's how it works. But the world doesn't see it like that. So I tell him, you have a black son. Right. So you need to raise him like a black son and make sure he's not oblivious to what the reality of this world really is. Make sure your black daughter is not oblivious to what the reality of this world really is. Right. Because when your black son grows up and he's driving that vehicle and he's pulled over by a police officer, they're not going to see a mixed child. No, they're going to see a black boy.
That's right.
So I'm not disagreeing with y'all at all. Yeah. I'm saying the divide comes in because when we do it, that's the divide. Yeah. It was placed in. Yeah. I tell people all the time, you think black people was always, quote unquote, crabs in the barrel? No. Were always against each other? Was always trying to beat each other out, pull each other back, being divisive and not supporting each other? You think black people were always like this?
I had made a post, crabs in a bucket. Crabs don't act like crabs in a bucket in the sea.
See, they don't. These were things placed, just like Jim Crow and anything else you want to bring up. These were things placed to make people like us, black people, self-destruct. Right. Because they know once we unite, once we come together, it's no stopping us. So when I say a mechanism for division, that's what I mean.
And let me piggyback on that. And that's what I'm afraid that our black people don't actually see. See, the white man is afraid of the black nucleus, that family, that stronghold. He is also afraid of that black man getting a white ally.
Gotcha.
He's definitely afraid of that ally being somebody that then gives birth to or fathers a child and is now in a blood relative relationship with the black nucleus family, because then that changes their understanding and acceptance of supremacy.
Gotcha.
That changes the use of their privilege, and it changes the use of their voice. So we don't harm or hinder the black community when somebody happens to get jungle fever.
Gotcha.
In fact, the men who adore the black queens and the black men have more to choose from, and that person is able to be happy and become a pillar in his community and do what he needs to for that community. And then he also has an ally across the aisle into the other community. As long as we're not doing fetishing and it isn't going that far.
Got you.
And I'll say that because there was a guy. So Botswana is a country, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, in Southern Africa. The first president in 1966 was Sir Seretse Khama. All right? Under his leadership, the country underwent significant economic and social progress, while Ruth Williams, a politically active and influential first lady. So this black man led a black country in black Africa and led them to economic progression, social progression, which are pro-black. He also furthered the black population, right, making it more substantial to raise children, right, because as you make the livelihood better, so then we're increasing black population worldwide. These are all definitions of pro-black.
Gotcha.
He did that while having a white wife. And the white was from Britain.
Got you. So, again, I'll go back and say you can do anything if a pro-black, if you got a pro-black man here with a black wife, and then you got another black man here with a white wife, they can both accomplish the same feats. The only difference is, to me, is the title. This man is pro-black because he's showing that I'm completely and unadulterated committed to creating black, supporting black, providing for black, uplifting black, procreating with black by being with that black woman. This same other black man, on the other hand, he has a woman of another race. He can do all the great things that same black man does. But to me, I will respect him as well because he's doing things for black people. But I also want him to know that at this point, you are just for blacks. You're not pro-black, because you can't do anything else. If you just think about anything else, let me come up with a good example.
Why
you can't say. It's just like saying I'm against murder and I'm against people taking people's lives, but I'm for the death penalty. Like, do you get that? Like, I'm for the death penalty, but I'm not with people murdering. It's the exact same thing.
People believe in justified murder.
Exactly. Well, I don't believe, like, you can say the same thing with abortion.
I believe if you kill somebody,
you can't be pro-life. You can't be pro-life, but okay, in some cases abortion's okay. No, you can't do that. So if you're pro one thing, you have to be pro that all the way through. Don't mean you're less of a black man because you dating outside of your race. That don't mean you're less of a black man. It just means he's just pro-black and you're for blacks, which is which is completely fine.
Let's take the abortion stance. What if you're pro-life?
Gotcha.
Right? You don't believe in abortion,
okay,
but you don't believe you have the right to tell anybody else what they can do.
Gotcha. That abortion discussion is just super touchy.
Right, and we won't go down that.
I don't want to go there, but you said a few words that I want to
yeah.
touch. So you said allies, right?
Right.
So I just want to reiterate how much we don't really disagree.
Right. No,
right?
I know.
So it's just different perspectives on the way I look at it and the way you look at it, right?
Right.
You say ally, like especially within this last year, I've told people constantly, if there was a civil war today, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I would be fighting against motherfuckers that look exactly like me.
Yes.
And I know without a shadow of a doubt, it would be people that are Snow White
on
fighting
for you.
Right by my side against them for what I believe in.
For sure.
So I'm not saying it's not obtainable. I used to be one of those people that think that all blacks, we can do this shit on our own without anybody. Fuck every other race, right? Adamantly believe that.
Right.
But I'm not there anymore. I believe that it's going to take a host of people to help blacks get where they need to go, because those other people can open doors that we don't ever get keys to.
Right.
Those other people can open ears that we'll never get to listen to us.
They're
Open fucking bank accounts
circles.
that we could never apply for a loan
Facts.
for. Understand?
Facts.
So
Facts.
I understand that you can be with somebody outside of the other race.
Yeah.
And still accomplish the things you need to accomplish, but you can't call yourself pro-black.
So then,
you're just for.
So then, pro-black is more about public opinion than action.
Not necessarily.
Because if you fulfill all the actions of pro-black, but you date outside of your race, which is not a qualification of pro-black, because we've already determined that marrying them doesn't prevent you from having black kids.
Okay.
So we're not stopping the black family because you as the black head or black, that's still a black family. Okay. You know, if you have a kid, you know, now you got 3 people in the household. 2 of y'all are black.
Yeah.
Y'all majority black in that household.
Gotcha.
So we've already accepted that. So then that's not the qualification. So then it's simply about outside looking in. It's simply about perception. And I'll say this. You know,
hold on before you do that.
Okay.
So I'll ask you this: Does a pescatarian eat beef?
No, they only
all
eat
right,
fish.
no, because they're what?
Pescatarian.
Exactly, right?
Right.
Do vegans eat meat?
No,
Because what?
because they're vegans.
So if I'm a pro-black man,
But that's only
no.
But that's if you subscribe to your definition.
No, but that is the very definition of pro.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It
So
is.
no, see, and that was why the wording was key when we opened up, because see, your wording of your definition was this is what I think pro-black
Gotcha.
is. What I read
This
was
is what
actual.
pro-black-
What
Go
I
ahead,
read
bro,
was
go
the
ahead.
definition that came off of the Urban Dictionary from I want to say his last name is Dr. Wilford.
Gotcha.
I want to say it's Charles Wilford. Is the gentleman that who I was quoting his qualifications for what it meant to be pro-black.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the story about the interracial couple raising the black children and them getting to see the man loving on a white woman. And I thought you were going to go down the path of how important it is to teach children how to love a black woman, right? Because that's what they're not going to see in their home.
I do think that's
if you're
important,
going to
but that
love.
wasn't there. No, that
Right,
wasn't
that's what I
there,
thought
yeah.
you were going to go down, which I do believe is a valid point, right?
Gotcha.
But and so I'll circle back to that, right? I think what's most important in that situation is that young child, that man or woman, is watching another man love another woman,
Exactly.
right? Or another human love another human for our
Absolutely.
LGBTQ community,
Okay.
right? That what's most important isn't about the racial dynamics, but because when you're a child, what you're teaching is foundational things. They're gonna develop their flowers and their branches outside in that world. You're not gonna you'll get to see the plant, but you don't get to watch it grow. It'll come home and it's gonna have new sets of beliefs.
Gotcha.
It'll come home from friends and it's gonna have new identities. It's gonna come home and it's gonna all of a sudden be an entirely different person than the child you raised, but you get to plant some foundational things. And so in that atmosphere, I think what's most taken, or what we should look at that more, is that what's being planted is that a man loving a woman correctly. Because I know far too many black, white families that stayed pure and beating the dog crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Abusing the children.
Yeah.
Doing all kind of wrongs and harm. So because they have now checked off that box, are they pro-black? Although they're damaging black kids and damaging black women?
Well, no. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with, because that black man could be beating the hell out of a white woman in front of his mixed kids.
Now, does
right?
that make him pro-black?
No.
So
basically, I want to do this to you, TJ. So I'm not gonna let you. I don't even know if this is what you're doing, but I just feel like you're trying to make domestic violence a black thing.
No. Oh, no.
We're not doing that.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'm more saying that, because I'm saying even in the white homes, you have white homes that believe in white supremacy and purism, because that's pro-white, right?
Got you.
But are you pro-white if you are abusing your kids that are your next generation and beating your white woman?
Well, that's, you know what? Okay, I guess this kind of goes. So a question I did have for you, and it kind of plays into this, is because the question first. The question is, can you have mixed children and still be racist?
Yes.
Right? So
I think it's hard.
So
it's hard,
you can have a mixed child.
Yeah.
You laid down and conceived a mixed
The
child.
anomalies we talked about
a
earlier.
Black child, right? Let's say this,
Yeah.
you mixed child. You have this black mixed child, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you still have the capability of being racist when you know that this child is black. So
I don't think that's normal, though.
But I honestly don't even see how that even happens. But I was told stories about how white women would beat on their black kids because they were mixed, when you're the reason why they are mixed.
Mental derangement.
It makes zero sense to me, right? Or those same mixed children that go to family functions that maybe their mom agrees with having an interracial relationship, but her family is like, fuck no.
Yeah.
So they turn their back on those mixed children.
Yep.
They treat those mixed children
Like
differently.
crap.
They treat them like shit,
Yep.
right? Yeah. You know, and you're a product of a mixed marriage, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were ever treated like that, but by your mom's side of the family and everything. But I know kids that are actually treated like outcasts because they are mixed, and I just don't think that's fair.
That. So I'm glad you brought that up. So this is almost why I know for a fact you can be pro-black and be in an interracial relationship.
Go ahead, I'm waiting.
You can be pro-black and not even be black.
I don't agree.
So if
oh my God, you like hitting like all my questions, like, because I have a question like that. It's crazy. But go ahead, bro. I'll let you finish.
Because if pro-black, if we're going by, again, the definition that I mentioned earlier, right, which is about economic progression of the black people, right, making sure that it's being okay to be proud to be black, right, making sure that we're being educated about being black, that we're protecting, right, and we're moving forward, right, and we're educating black youth and encouraging black men. If that's what being pro-black is about, what part of that said you got to be white to do that?
Well, you couldn't be white to do that,
or you couldn't. Because what about I've got a great grandfather who was the first white man to room with blacks at the universities up there in Maryland.
Gotcha.
I have family who right now are more active politically for black issues than I am.
Gotcha.
And they're white. I mean that run for office in different political arenas over the country. Hold different offices in different areas of the country, and are definitely more pro-black. And you asked about an interesting relationship growing up. I thought they hated black people.
Gotcha.
Because being raised in Texas shapes our view of whites, period. We don't even understand the difference between the Yankees and the Dixies.
Gotcha.
Because we were too busy just being black.
Gotcha.
So we don't even yet understand the difference of the Southern versus the Northern when it comes to the cultural and even the education that they were given, right? The Northern whites, I went up in 2011 when I met my white family, they knew more black history than than for sure the education that I had received in school. Luckily, my black father took time to instill in me black history because he was from Chicago, so he didn't learn it in the South.
Gotcha.
But they ran circles around the information, and we were even able to elaborate on the curriculum-based education that we had received. So I think that shapes our context when we're raised, especially in cities like Austin.
Cool. So I don't agree that other races could be pro-black. They could be for blacks. But they can't be pro-black. They can be for black.
I like that we have the same definition of the words. They're just different in the words. See, the pro is for 3 letters.
I just think pro means
doing the same
pro
thing.
means something different for me. So
pro for you is almost like completely black.
Yes,
it's not
everything.
There's no yin and yang.
Ain't no way around it.
So can you have black? Can you have white friends and be pro-black? But aren't you?
Yeah, I'm pro-black. I mean, I have,
But shouldn't black people deserve
I've been in weddings. All white weddings as a groomsman. Like, it's not even about that.
But shouldn't black people deserve that friendship slot first?
I guess. I mean, listen, everybody that is Caucasian that I am consider my friends, they understand the way I am and how I am, and they respect that.
They're pro-black.
So that's not necessarily true. I don't believe that.
So the white friends that would fight and die for the same things you believe in, you wouldn't give them the title of pro-black?
No.
If a white person was willing to die for the betterment of a black man.
You show me a white person that's willing to die for the betterment of a black man, then we had that discussion.
See, now you do know that list is long.
It might be, but you show them to me.
See, and that's why us being down here, and I say this to the audience, please, guys, let's make sure that we take time to continue our history education after we leave these curriculum-based institutions. Because if we allow them to teach us instead of going and learning, if we allow them to give us an education instead of going and being educated, then it's really easy for us to not know how many whites have died for the freedoms of blacks for the persecution of blacks, or who stood in lines and marches, not just on the photo cameras, but got skin ripped off their bodies for blacks.
That ally conversation we had earlier, I said it will be people that do not look like me fighting with me.
And if they took their last breath in your arm after dying so that you lived, you don't think they would deserve the respect, honor, and title?
Do you think they would want a little more to be labeled pro-black? Like, I mean, but okay, all right.
Maybe that was all they wanted and all they liked.
I like that. I like that how you did that. I like that. I'm going to lie. But I want to ask you a question. Okay. So I did that poll. I don't know if you've seen that poll I put on my story
with
Jeezy and I forget her name, but
Janae Marie.
And I asked the question. That's when I originally posed the question. Can you be pro-black in an interracial relationship? It was overwhelmingly, I think, like 65 to 35%. Yeah. I also noticed in those polls, people that weren't black. So
they want to make it okay.
So is somebody of another race able to tell me what the hell pro-black is? Overwhelmingly, it was all kind of races that weren't black voting on that. And I'm like, hold on, that just made me think
and they could even have the right answer.
Can a non-black person tell a black person what pro-black is?
No, and I think that honestly, while conversations and discourse are healthy between whites and blacks as far as racial issues, when a black man speaks about a racial issue, a white person should shut the fuck up. You didn't live it. Definitely. You didn't go through it. And so whether or not you agree doesn't really matter.
Got you.
Because it wasn't your experience. Nobody is out there. I won't even go that far. I'll just leave it there. When black people are trying to open the door, because it is just as uncomfortable for us as it is for a white person. For me to reach out to my white family when and we have the discussions often, so it's not like it's an anomaly that I reach out, but when major things happen, I reach out to see. I don't even want to say it's looking for approval, but it's looking for that other side. Like I am a part of a biracial family, right? So I do want to make sure that I'm not offending them without educating them so that they can avoid the offense. If you choose to be offended after I've educated you, that's your fault.
Exactly. So
that's your problem.
I had the same question. I was just about to ask you. It's crazy how we coming together full circle. But I was going to ask you, do you feel like it's a black woman's or a black man's responsibility to educate their non-black spouse on black issues, socially, economically? Like it's pertinent that they do that.
I don't even think you can be pro-black. Here's a couple. You cannot be pro-black dating outside of your race and not spending as much time educating the other races as you do fighting for your race.
Got you.
Because if you're going to engage with the other race, then your time needs to be spent in their circles, having the uncomfortable and the awkward conversations about what it means to be black, not sitting in their circles, making it okay for their jokes, not sitting in the circles, allowing them to make all lives matter comments, not sitting in their circle, making it okay for them to make other conversations that we know whites have done when they get into a circle of blacks or they get a black in their circle to try to almost like damper them down, right? Yeah. And to where then he goes back to his culture and he's speaking the same nonsense that their culture speaks about theirs. No. If that's what you can't be pro-black. You ain't pro-black enough of your own blackness. Mm-hmm. You might not need to mix with. You might need the next generation go do some interracial dating. You might need to stay with your own.
Got you.
If you can't handle the task of what it means to interracially date, because there's a responsibility. Your kids are gonna have it harder. You're gonna have it harder. Your spouse is gonna have it harder. So especially as a black man, if you can't take on that challenges, then that's definitely something that you should stay away from.
If or when I ever were to date outside of my race, that woman has to know we gonna have class. We're gonna get educated.
It's got
because
to.
It's
because you were educated on her culture and history for 12 years.
Exactly.
Through school, you were educated on hers.
Well, I don't think it would be so.
So she gotta get some education.
I don't know if I'm. I don't think it'll be a white woman.
I will, of course.
Like,
I was
she would have
thinking
to
that.
be.
I was like,
Look,
X and the picture
no,
of like.
Hell no.
I don't see that.
I don't think it would be a white woman.
Not with you.
I would get destroyed, right?
Yeah.
She would have to be for sure Latina.
Okay.
Preferably partially Puerto Rican or
so exotica.
Afro Latina.
Okay, so check this out, right?
Afro Latina, right?
So while hot as the white versus the interracial topic is, black women hate that more.
You right.
That erotica?
You right.
Cause they gonna call you fetish for sure.
Facts.
All you want is foreign. Also, domestic ain't good enough.
It's not even that, but I mean, they let Cardi come to the barbecue. They want to call her Afro Latina, and I don't think so. So if I come with,
mixed?
So if
is she Latina and black?
I don't think so, right? So,
that's what I'm saying. Because isn't that just black?
But if you're Puerto Rican. I think Puerto Rican women and like if it's a Puerto Rican woman mixed with Mexican or something like that, they're more Afro Latina than for say Cardi B is.
Right.
I don't. But
so does the justification for who you can or can't date be based on where their slave trade routes drop them off?
I think so. If you got to get that deep.
I'm just being honest. I'm being 100%.
You have to get that deep.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna go right,
if you want to go that route, especially for a man like me.
That's what I'm saying.
If I was
to
choose a woman outside of my race,
she would have to have.
I would have to go
some sort of a plight
deep.
that you.
I would have to go that deep.
Now, see, that I understand.
Would have to go that deep.
See, I understand black women and black men wanting, and I even understand parents wanting kids to date within their race for the understanding aspect of it, right? So that you don't have to spend so many years of the love life educating and trying to change somebody else's views, or trying to make sure they're not a fetish.
Yes.
Right. Make sure you're not the fetish.
Gotcha.
Right? I completely understand that. But love will take all of that shit and throw it out the window. That's the thing about love. And that's why I say for a person to automatically assume that somebody else is dating based on a fetish or based on some mental derangement or some other issue projects more of an issue that they have within than that's without. Because normally, people are looking for love, peace, and happiness.
Got you.
And they don't care what color they find it in. Do they look preferably in first in their black?
Yeah, I think. Oh, we got a hard. I think we got a hard out. But
okay.
Any closing statements, man? TJ, I really appreciate you coming out, man. This was awesome. If you're still watching this, please share. It's not too late to share. Please share. It's just a click of a button. I really appreciate it.
So I do
just
have,
please share,
a
bro.
Final statement.
But I'm gonna let TJ wrap it up, and this has been the Dex X podcast, and I look forward to doing many more of these. This is episode 1. Go ahead, bro.
So I'll say that you don't stop being black because you date another race. And if pro-black is about keeping the black race pure, then that's black supremacy and racial purity. However, even then, an interracial couple doesn't inhibit one's ability to be pro-black because the offspring is still considered black. Their skin is just lighter, which then means you aren't even for racial purity, you're a colorist. And colorism is an entirely different but serious issue within the black community. On the contrary, if your reason for dating outside of your race or of a black woman is because you feel they are a better alternative, then no, you cannot be pro-black and say those words.
Awesome. It's Dex 6. Stay dangerous. We out.